Winter seems to have really arrived this week. We've had 2 days of blizzards and 1 day of sub-0 degree temperatures.
Hi, dear.
It is not uncommon to see deer on our morning rounds. When they see us coming, they step aside, but they don't run off. There is one now, just to the right of the bird feeder.
Hold on.
We always go through twice a day
The
to
light
fill our
blinking.
bird feeders, but lately we've been adding a little extra bird seed since they are so
Yeah.
hungry.
I've heard about
We also add cracked corn so the deer and crows don't eat all the good bird food.
yours. I think so. I think that's kind of what it's.
When we finish, the deer continue about their business as if we weren't even there in the first place.
Oh yeah, sure.
And we continue about our business, filling the rest of the bird feeders. Lately, we've been going through about 200 pounds of bird seed a week. Plus, a bag of cracked corn that feels like it weighs about 100 pounds. It's heartwarming to know that somebody cares that much about wildlife to spend that kind of money. And because people care, we have this beautiful refuge. And this time of year, it truly is a winter wonderland. Nonetheless, it is still a harsh environment. It is a time of year when many weaker animals die off. That's a dead crow in the bushes. It was probably in a weakened state and then died of hypothermia and last night's cold chill. 2 days prior to finding the crow, we found a deer head at the side of the trail. The tracks surrounding it suggest it was dropped there by a coyote, but the rest of the story remains inexplicable. After the bird feeders are filled, we stop by and pick up some food for the beavers. Typically, a beaver colony stays in one area for half a decade or so before it uses up all its food resources and has to move on. Our beaver colony has been here for 16 years. By sustainably harvesting poplar trees from around the sanctuary and from some generous neighbors' property, and supplementing their diet with apples and carrots, they've been well fed and able to stay. The original matriarch here, who's been dead for some time now, was originally captured as a nuisance animal. She was spayed and released here to live out the rest of her life. But the vet who did the spading must have botched the job. The following year, a male found his way here, and they had babies. After a good long life, and she died, one of her offspring stayed to continue the colony. We now have the unique opportunity to watch the development of the landscape after prolonged beaver activity.
Starting to get used to this cold weather, though.
And there's Matt trying to warm his hands up. It was -8 degrees
Here, I'll
Fahrenheit
warm 'em up
that
after I
morning,
drop this
not
off.
including the wind chill factor. But I continue on. I want to drop this log off first before I warm my own hands. Our relationship with the beavers is a mutual one. They reap the benefits of being fed by us, and we reap the benefits of the incredible habitat they create. And it's not just the ponds, which do attract fish and birds and insects, but the actual dams are great. They trap fertile soil, which acts as a natural garden for wildflowers and other plants. And small rodents also inhabit the dams, which then attracts bigger predators such as mink and fisher. And now the log can be dropped off for the feeding later this afternoon. As the day continues, we never know what we're going to stumble across. There's likely to be birds fluffed up in the sun trying to warm themselves up. Or they could be down on the ground seeking shelter from the wind. It's not uncommon to see raptors, such as this immature red-tailed hawk, perched in trees. But it's even more common to see them being chased off by crows. This week, we've spotted around 400 snow geese migrating across the sanctuary. They are leaving their breeding grounds in the Arctic to head to their wintering grounds in the southern U.S. and Mexico. Around the turn of the 20th century, their populations were direly low. Since then, the populations have increased and are now considered to be healthy. It is not uncommon to see a darker morph in the flock, known as the blue goose, but I've not seen any yet this season. This is not likely to be the last of the snow geese we'll see before the winter ends.
Do they have the bird?
We came across a freshly broken sumac branch this week and made an interesting observation. The wood is yellow and it stinks like rotten eggs, indicating it has sulfur in the wood. All too often, we breeze right by the creeks without stopping to pay attention. But they are a really peaceful place to stop and relax. And they can be mesmerizing. And I guess I just couldn't resist putting this in slow motion. And one of the greatest things about nature is if you just sit down long enough, you are bound to find something exciting. These are winter stoneflies. There are around 300 species of winter stoneflies throughout the northern hemisphere. Many of these species are endemic to small geographical areas. This is due to the family's tendency toward reduced wings. Winter stoneflies spend most of their lives as aquatic nymphs. They only leave the water when it is time for their final molt, in which they will emerge as adults. The adults' bodies possess high concentrations of natural antifreezes, such as proteins and sugars, so they can stay active throughout the frigid winter. Since the nymphs of stoneflies are so sensitive to pollution and low oxygenated conditions and poor water quality, it is a good sign that we have them here. It indicates that our creeks are healthy. And that wraps up this week at the sanctuary.